I don't see how they're going to keep it out of the news.
Yeah,
I know they can, but they're just, it's not going to happen.
Well, we'll see.
This is another one of those stories with unattributed sources quoted, unnamed officials cited, which has no legs and no verification. And the Internet is full of that stuff.
That's not true. I didn't get this from one of those sites that you're probably
I know. You listen. That doesn't mean your sources, in turn, could not have bitten on an empty hook either.
This is true. However, like I say, if you go to the FBI homepage,
right,
and my source for this one, by the way, is Al Hodges, who is one of the lawyers in the CMKX shareholders lawsuit, okay?
Okay.
So that's my source. It's not some site on the Internet. And there are other confirmations. What happens is they've arrested thousands of bankers and over 100 have been killed. But you don't see the headline, 1,000 bankers arrested. You don't see 100 bankers killed. What you see is one story about a banker being found in the bottom of a swimming pool. Another story about a banker shooting himself in the head.
Yeah, well, there's been a few of those.
And the arrests, they say, okay, they arrest 5 here. Maybe you read about 5 bankers being arrested. But if you look at it, over time, you'll see there's been thousands of arrests of bankers. There is financial warfare going on, and it is the judicial authorities who are taking these bank gangsters down. And the media they own, owned by these banksters, they don't report it. Of course they don't.
Yeah. All right, hold on there, Ben. Just a second. Hang on. We'll be right back with Benjamin Fulford live in Tokyo in just a few. Okay, back with Ben Fulford in Tokyo, getting his take on lots of different things. Okay, Ben, please continue.
Well, the other big sign of change, of course, is that they've finally gone after that most sacred of sacred cows, Goldman Sachs. Now, I'm still not completely sure they're really going after them. I worry that they might be doing what they say in Japan is having the lizard shake off its tail. In other words, they have a civil lawsuit instead of a criminal lawsuit,
right? And
they throw 1 or 2 young traders to the wolves and hope they can then get away, you know? And if that happens, then it'll obviously just be a cover-up. But I'm suspecting that once they open this can of worms, there will be no shutting it, and they won't be able to do that. It's things that the more people find out about how much they've been robbed and conned by Wall Street, the more repercussions are going to be. Because they were doing fraud, pure and simple. There's no other word for it. And now finally, the chickens are coming home to roost. They thought, they got away with it for so long. I guess they got arrogant. They thought they could get away with it forever. And they thought they could do one of their managed economic crises in the United States and set up a fascist world government, but no, it's just not working. And that's my take on things. But I don't think it's over yet. We still have that idiot actor Obama reading his scripts, his Soros scripts all over the place. And you still have the horrific wars going on. And
well, the Americans, as you know, Ben, are losing. They have been losing in Afghanistan. They just had to withdraw from a strategic valley after suffering heavy casualties over quite a length of time. In fact, the troops there were complaining that they were simply put out there as bait to try to attract the resistance fighters so they could be destroyed. And a lot of Americans, anyway, they gave up and pulled out. So it's a strategic defeat, not a strategic withdrawal for the Americans in Afghanistan. No way to win there unless they can buy off the opposition.
In Vietnam, that was set up in the same way. It was on a hilltop, completely exposed.
Happened to many groups over there, you're right.
Yeah, but, you know, this whole, I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, what these people wanted was long, drawn-out wars so they could keep selling overpriced military equipment to both sides. They didn't want a quick war where the U.S. just wins and it's all over because they don't make enough money. So, you know, to me, the whole thing is still stage-managed. They're still playing both sides, financing both sides. The Taliban and Al-Qaeda get their orders from CIA, and U.S. troops get their orders from the Pentagon, and the whole thing is a farce. And what are they doing? They're protecting the big drug trade. They're gangsters, and I think they're finally being brought to justice. I'd also like to get back to a different topic, which is related to what these people have been doing. Did you get to see the movie Avatar yet?
Nope, I don't go to movies. Don't have time anymore.
Anyway, the story is about these people in a jungle protecting a tree from big corporations who want to tear it down to get at the minerals underneath. And the reason I find that very interesting is that I was in, when I was young, 17, I was in Pucallpa in northern Peru, staying with the Shipibo Indians. And they had a giant tree there, which they were trying to protect from destruction and stop the oil companies. And the interesting thing was that there was a big American middle-class neighborhood in that town. It's an impoverished, developing country town. And what these people were doing, their job, was to translate the Bible into every language on earth. So they'd go with these airplanes and try to discover they had good pots, mirrors, things like that, and they had microphones hidden. And they would try to guess the language, and after a while they would, try to make sure that people would understand their friendly, and they would land and go and try to convert them into Christianity. You think that's an awful lot of money and trouble to spend, and now theoretically to save their eternal souls. But I now realize what they were trying to do was turn these people into slaves. And Christ and all that stuff. But the original creators of that religion deliberately inserted a couple of important ideas. One is the idea of turning the other cheek. Well, they slap you, turn the other cheek, and they slap the other cheek, and they kill you. Well, it doesn't matter, because after you die, you go to heaven, and they go to hell. But while you're alive, you just got to put up with it. That's the one big fallacy. The other one, of course, is to give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Well, why is it Caesar's? Because he seized it? Anyway, the point is that, we have a real-life situation, even to this day, with these big corporations trying to destroy this ancient forest, and these natives fighting to protect it. And this is what the U.S. corporations have been doing all over the world, destroying the planet in the name of greed, destroying the United States in the name of greed, and for what? I remember visiting a shaman who's living in a shanty town, a horrible little shack, surrounded by garbage and stuff. And his fellow shaman, they still haven't destroyed the forest around where he is. He has a nice hut beside the river. You can go swimming and fishing, which is a better lifestyle. Yeah.
Hang on right there, Ben. That's a good place to pause. We'll pick it up in just a minute. Ben Fulford in Tokyo. Always like to hear Ben's take on things. Very interesting. Back in just a couple.